caught surprised by the way we looked. The years had changed us too. We smiled and both embraced like old friends often do.
Hello again. Welcome to another Gung Ho show. It's September 21st, 2020. And I have a guest back with me, Elizabeth Podlach.
Yep.
Yes. We were talking about corruption and misconduct within the criminal justice system, and she found out the hard way, firsthand. And we're up to the part where she's been held overnight in a concrete cell, of course, by herself. Her boyfriend, who is an attorney, is upstairs, and the police have refused to let her attorney speak to her or her speak to her attorney in person. And she is about to be brought before the local court. We're talking about the South Village Hampton Court, Justice Court.
Right.
All right.
Right. The
all right.
cell is in the Southampton Village Police. There's this little village,
right.
but they have this concrete cell with the camera, the video camera smashed. So you know that no one, there's no recording, there's no witness. Yeah.
Just to remind the audience, you had never been arrested before.
I had been beat up by the police
No, I
14
mean-
years before, but no, not arrested.
Yeah, have you ever been put in a cell? And never, right?
When they beat me up, yes, they put me in a cell for a few hours, yeah. But they ended up losing their job, so yeah. But that was 14 years before this, so.
Being held overnight in a concrete cell.
Yeah, I've never been in an empty police department with a concrete cell with a smashed video camera and nobody around in a tiny village, no.
And not even a blanket or a pillow.
No.
And nothing to eat.
No. I did sit-ups the entire time.
And you had asked to see your lawyer over and over again.
Right. I was grateful that at least someone knew where I was, because I knew that he at least knew where I was. And I think that him showing up there, however he did it, protected my life. I mean, because otherwise no one would have known I was there. And there were cases, there was a case of misconduct in the police involving that cell a few years before, so they had done some stuff that wasn't okay. I'd have to look it up. But you always want someone to know where you are. And that's the biggest danger, no witnesses, no anything. At least Phil, a major civil attorney, I mean, he was an assistant AG, all this other stuff, and he knew where I was, and he told his brother, who's also an attorney, where he was. So at least people knew where people were if they disappeared or were beat up or whatever.
I have a friend, a woman friend, that was arrested in the East Hampton Village, by the East Hampton Village Police. And they took her into custody, and while she was in the police station, they had her handcuffed, and they walked out of the room, and she picked up their phone and called me.
Oh, that's so smart. Yeah.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
So she called me, and she said, I'm in the village police station, come down.
Mm-hmm.
So I go down.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what?
They won't let you see her.
They wouldn't let me see her.
Yeah, isn't that against the
I said,
law?
I am her lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to see her, to represent her. You can't see her.
How can they do that?
They do. I mean, and then you say, wait, this is America. She has a right to a lawyer, and the lawyer has a right to see his client. I mean, but no, you can't.
But
And
how do they?
They just did it.
I know, they just
And
do
you know,
it.
the judge didn't think, no big deal.
Right, no.
No, so what,
So
Now you got a lawyer, but you've already been arrested and booked and charged
and questioned. I mean, they even questioned me. Of course, they had I had a totally clean record. I've never done anything. I have one speeding. That's it.
Right.
So they had nothing to question me on, but they tried.
when they bring you in front of the judge for the first time.
Right, so I had
yeah,
my hair in front of my
yeah.
face and
The
my
only
handcuffs.
issue really is, bail or no
Right.
bail.
Right,
Now, in most cases, you bring a woman before the judge with no priors, and the charges are not serious, you release that person in their own recognizance, ROR. So what happened to you? That's the norm.
well, I didn't know anything about the norm. I have never had to do bail or any of that stuff. I mean, the only other time I was in jail, the police officer got fired, and so it wasn't, and I hadn't broken the law. She was just beating people up, and I was the 8th woman she beat up, and so that was just a different situation. But here, yes, they brought me up and they said, you can't have a lawyer for this either. But Phil was there. He's a smart guy.
This is absolutely
Right.
crazy.
I know.
Your lawyer is there, and he can't represent you.
Well, that's what the police officer said. As I was walking up the stairs, I said, I need a lawyer. I'm going in front of a judge. And she said, you're not allowed to have a lawyer for this. But when I walked up into the courtroom, he was there. And then the judge, let him talk. So,
Did he actually come? and
yes,
stand?
she let him, he insisted.
He came in and stood behind you?
Yeah.
All right.
And he said, can you take the handcuffs off? I mean, the other thing is they had me handcuffed. I mean, you had people there for DUIs, far more serious than like failing to signal or
They
whatever.
wouldn't.
No. And the judge and the police refused to take. The judge would not have, and my hair
Can
is
you
like
describe
this.
the judge or who it was?
She was probably 55, 55, brown hair, tallish, hair about to here, I think, sort of longer hair. And of course, it's on the record. I wish like I said, the records are in boxes, and I have a lot of boxes in my back room just because my parents recently died, so I have too many boxes. But it's all there, and my lawyer has the information. But she did not like Phil. Phil is obviously, like I said,
And
he was
people out there should realize that
he's black,
a
but
black lawyer.
tall, and he also, he worked in the White House. He worked as in the AG's office. He has a lot of, knowledge, much more than she ever had. But so there's that too. And he did mention that I went to Harvard, which she really didn't like. And I don't know why he mentioned it, just to say like, look,
Oh
she's,
no, that's good.
yeah. And she said, I understand about Harvard, and it's not relevant in this courtroom and everything. And he said, he went through the whole thing. I mean, he's a civil lawyer, but still, he knew how to just say the regular things. And she said, well, what ties do you have to the community? And at the time, I didn't want to name my galleries. I had galleries in the community, but I didn't want to name them because.
But you lived out here.
Well, I also lived out here for 8 years, 6 years, whatever it was, but I rented. I didn't own. She asked about that, and as far as connections, and I work for myself, but I didn't want to list the galleries because I didn't want, them to be involved in any way, right? So I just didn't say that, and she made the bail $1,500.
And I know.
So what we did was, luckily, he was able to take that out of the ATM. I couldn't take it out of mine.
Where is the ATM located?
Oh, it's right at the court.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Very convenient.
Yes. Yes, I paid him back because it was important to me to pay him back immediately. But I couldn't take out $1,500 with my card, but luckily he could. Because otherwise, if you can't give it to them right then, you have to go back to jail. So luckily, the ATM let him take that amount out.
You would have been transported to the county jail.
Yeah, but it has to be right there, that ATM.
Yeah.
You can't go to a bank, you can't, yeah. So he was able to do that.
In my experience for over 40 years, what happened to you, the whole thing, even the nature of the bail is it's horrible.
Yeah,
It doesn't make any sense. It's like they're conspiring to just come down on you.
Yeah, and then I think even the worst part was the ADA, because he was the ADA under
Spoda.
the DA who was indicted and is probably going to go to jail for 20 years or whatever. Indicted, mind you, for covering up the chief beating up a black man. Like,
But that
so
was-
the DA hadn't been indicted yet. He was still the DA. And the ADA under him, so we got home. Oh, they also tow your car. And they do a weird thing to your car at the Southampton Village Police Department. So they towed my car. And then, of course, they search it. I mean, there's nothing in my car.
What was the reason? There's no reason to impound your car.
No, I mean, they had the excuse, of course, that my license was suspended. That was the only real thing.
But Phil, is that his name? Could have drove the car.
Oh, yeah, but no, they do this regularly. They always do it. It's a big thing they do. And I know they did it in the other case too. But so not only do they impound your car, but when you make bail, you then have to go and empty out every item from your car. So they give you garbage bags, so you have to go in your car and take every single thing out. This is a requirement.
There's no reason for
And
them
then
not.
you have to sit with these garbage bags for a taxi and go home, right? So, and they can keep your car for some absurd amount of time, like a week or 2 weeks. And you know, out here you have to have a car. So Phil picked up the phone and called this ADA, and he reached him. I don't know how he did it, but he did. And he said, look, this is absurd. This is absolutely absurd. I looked at the charges, it's ridiculous. And the ADA said, I know, it is. I agree. It's all garbage, but I'm not going to let her go on nothing. You know, I have to get something. And Phil said, okay, so you're going to drop everything except maybe something small? What are you going to do? He said, yeah. And he said, what about the car? This is ridiculous. It's not, I don't see the legal justification. She has to get to work. She has to go to the grocery store. This is absurd. And he said, I'll release the car.
Where was the car?
Oh, they impound them and they keep them at the police department, I believe. I don't know. That's where I unloaded it. But this ADA released the car, which is very unusual. So he went and we did get the car. And then, of course, you have to pay for the storage of the car for when you were there.
Do you
But-
recall about how much money you had to pay?
680.
What?
Yeah, a lot.
They
And
must
then,
have-
but I was lucky because I got the car in like 3 days, right? They only kept the car 3 or 4 days. And normally they can keep it for, I think, 10. Which
Well,
I
they're
don't,
not, first of all, what they did is illegal.
of course.
They don't impound cars for those kind of charges.
Right, right.
And then charging you to get your own car, it sounds like some kind of larceny is going on
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. They do it in every case. And I think if you're, I don't know, but I was told that if your license is suspended, they almost never do it, but they can take your car, but they certainly can't keep it for 10 days. They certainly can't do all
And
this other
the
stuff. But-
suspension was because you failed to pay a ticket, is that it?
Yeah, because the ticket office was open only 2 hours on Wednesday and Friday, and
And you know, all you have
couldn't
to
do
do
it
is
online
you
with
go,
Sag
you
Harbor.
pay the ticket and your license
Right,
is
right,
good.
right. And the judge even said, she said, I don't care about that. Like, it was not, you
So
know.
that charge went away.
Of course.
That
But
was-
she didn't even,
So what was the main charge against you? You have some,
well, so they charged me with obstructing traffic, even though there was no traffic, like I said, there were no cars, nothing anywhere, just her. She was the only vehicle. Disturbing the peace.
and I never heard that charge before.
Well, maybe it was,
It must have been disorderly conduct. or-
Maybe, but it was, what they said was it was because I stopped the car in the, stopping in the middle of Main Street, right? When she was talking to me, I stopped my car to ask for directions, and then she held me there. So I was charged with not moving. And I don't know if that was considered just There was something about disturbing the peace because of the swear word.
They actually accused you
Yes,
of cursing.
that's a local violation that's
there's no such thing.
unconstitutional. I know, but it's in the local law, and it's an unconstitutional local law. But no one's ever challenged
I'm
it.
amazed that there's
That
something
you're not
like
allowed
that.
to curse on Main Street in Southampton Village. Yes, it is.
That's unconstitutional.
It is unconstitutional. That's what I used in my appellate brief. That they stop. Her entire reason for stopping me was that curse word, which is an unconstitutional local law. So that's why she stopped me, according to her. Really, it was because I didn't wait for her.
Can you describe what this ADA looked like?
He was tall, sort of sandy-ish hair.
About how old?
45, 50. Younger than I am, I think he was 45 or late
You know, all
40s.
he was trying to do was protect the police.
I know, and also from being sued. So he needed to get
Yeah.
me on something
Yes.
so I couldn't sue. But I sued anyway. But he was trying to keep me from winning a lawsuit.
Well, when you took that plea, you weakened your lawsuit.
Right, and I knew that. But he took a year and a half to, he held on, and every time something was suggested to me, I said no. And then finally, after a year and a half, they got it down to a violation. And she said, it's a violation, so it won't make any difference. It's not a misdemeanor, it's not, And I said, okay, because I couldn't afford to keep paying her at the time. And I think I might have also had a show or something, and I had to travel. So it was a year and a half that I held off. But I did accept the violation charge, which, she said it's like a ticket, it's like a fine, that's all it is. But in the end, he really, he made me do 40 hours of community service.
And pay a fine, of course.
And a huge fine, and
A surcharge.
driving school online, So it was very, very, very expensive. I didn't have that kind of money to pay a lawyer, even though she was the cheapest lawyer I could get. If I had more money and I had one of the top lawyers, I am certain that I would have had no charges and it would have taken 2 months. But that's the difference. I know that they negotiate with those guys and they have things that they do, but she was like the one that represents the poor people, and she charges less, and so it was much harder, and But anyway, I accepted that plea a year and a half later, and then I turned around and filed the lawsuit.
In federal court.
In federal court, and that was a decision. I'm not sure if it was the right decision.
But you did it pro se, means you did it.
I did it myself, yes, but I had help with so what happened was, again, I earned my living by selling my paintings, and there are years where I do well and years where I do less well, and at this time, my parents were also very sick, so I had another obligation which interfered with some of my own business. It wasn't as bad at that point. It got harder later when they were much sicker. But so my income would vary, and but basically it covers, my rent and food, and it doesn't cover like extra. I have a used car. I don't have extra money for a lawyer, but somehow I called around and I found a man who was willing to write my
You complained?
my notice of claim for free. Very kind. He did that, and then Phil's brother helped me write the claim. We did
The complaint?
the complaint. He helped me a little, and so then I had to do the rest myself, basically. Yeah.
We know a little bit about the federal case,
Yeah.
and they just litigated you to, out of the courthouse.
What they said was I don't even think the judge ever. It was the administrative judge under her.
The judge referred the case to a magistrate.
Right, and the magistrate said
Did not,
the case is dismissed. And that they basically ruled that the police are never in violation of the law when they point the gun at someone. Like, the police can point the gun at anyone, anytime. Like, if you're walking to your mailbox, they can point a gun at you. If you're waiting at the bus stop, they can point a gun at you, which means they can risk your life at any moment. That's what the judge ruled. After it was dismissed because I was pro se, or because of how they do things, I got to reply to that and have it reviewed a second time. They said the same thing, you can point a gun whenever you want. And since they didn't fire the gun and didn't kill me, it was not excessive force. Of course, there are cases, I mean, I reviewed all the cases all over the country, and I did all this research and everything, and there are plenty of cases where it was ruled excessive force to point a gun at someone. But, more and more the courts have gotten more and more conservative, and I think they really have gone so far off the Constitution that it's crazy. I mean, when you think in 1984 with Tennessee versus Gardner, I mean, they ruled you cannot shoot a fleeing suspect, but now they do it all the time. So
things are like, what happened to you is they're trying to do the same thing to one of my clients. I tried the case in East Hampton Town Justice Court. He was convicted. It was reversed on appeal. And we went into federal court.
I wish I had known you then, because you could have gotten mine.
And it was reversed on appeal. And we went into federal court. And what are they saying?
You did it in state court, or you did it in
no, the criminal
it was
case.
federal,
I tried the criminal case. I lost it. Then we appealed. We won the appeal in the state appellate term. Then we went into federal court, pro se. I couldn't get anybody to represent him, and I've been forced to retire by the VA for my service-connected disabilities. Anyhow, he went pro se, and what was their argument? Let me think.
If he won, why did he have to go back to federal court?
He wanted to sue him for damages.
Oh, good. Okay.
He lost the criminal case.
Right.
Then he won on appeal.
Right. So he wanted to
now
sue
he
them.
goes into federal court, and they say to him, "But the dismissal wasn't on the merits." And that's like.
What was the dismissal on, if not on the merits?
The appellate term threw the case out because the charging instruments were facially insufficient. It was jurisdictional.
That's not merits.
But what they were really saying is that this guy you didn't charge him with any crime, you took him to trial.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
So they're ready to dismiss it.
Yeah.
They're ready to dismiss
Right.
it. So I happen to know somebody that's in big trouble with the feds and been litigating against, they've been going after him for 10 years and beating him every time. And I tell him about the case. And at first he didn't want to do it, and I gave him a chronology, right? I emailed it to him, and he called me up and said, what did he say? "Don't torture me like this." So he started.
Yeah, he had to.
He said, "Look, and he winds up coming in on the case. Now this guy, Fred Oberlander. All the feds know this guy.
Yeah.
He's famous.
Yeah.
He's on the front page of the New York Law Journal every time he wins against the feds. But he's still fighting them. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Fred Oberlander is on the case.
Fantastic.
And he answers the motion to dismiss. And he tells the court and the magistrate, "You're wrong." And he puts an explanation. And it's like, they must, and he was just in the Law Journal like a week before. He knocked out all these grand jury subpoenas that were given to him because the judge, he was claiming the judge didn't have jurisdiction to hold him in civil contempt. And he was right.
Yeah.
A federal judge.
Yeah.
He said that they issued a subpoena, there was no grand jury, and then they hold me in civil contempt, and the grand jury term is expired. He was like right on everything.
Yeah.
And there he is on the front page, and now he's over here on this case.
And what happened?
Well, not, they haven't answered his,
Okay.
you know,
Oh, I want to know, yeah. I mean, I think the federal court was the wrong choice. I should have gone to state, but I went to federal.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know.
I mean, you never know.
You know something, the system is so, the criminal justice system and the federal justice system, that's what they call an oxymoron. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
I mean, what broke my heart was their ruling. It broke my heart because the reason I filed the lawsuit, doing it pro se, I knew I wasn't going to win, okay, because I'm not a lawyer, so my chances just, you know, and indeed, I did make a technical error. That happened, right? I made a filing date error on a minor filing, but it did matter in the end. So when you're representing yourself, that's, you know, there's a very good chance that can happen.
They're supposed to treat pro se litigants, you know, with soft gloves, not hard gloves.
Well, in any case, I didn't do it to win, with the expectation of winning. I did it because I thought it would protect people a little. I thought it would slow her down. I thought it would be a moment of pause, something, right? So anyway, what broke my heart was when that court said something even worse than what the police did, which was that a cop can point a gun at anyone, anytime.
The system is rigged against people like you, small people.
Yeah, but to rule that way no matter what. And the appellate court at least said we do not accept that ruling, but we're not going to review the case because you made that technical error.
We're at the end. Boy, oh boy.
Line, 'cause friends are friends for time. Where have my old friends gone? Where are they now? Used to be a walk away in my hometown, but they're so far away, as far as far can be. But in my heart they're close to. You see.